everyone. Welcome to our SDSU Extension and NDSU Extension Master Gardener Winter Lunch and Learn series. I'm Prairie Walkling, SDSU Extension Master Gardener Field Specialist based in Rapid City. And today's presentation is the second in our series. And these are continuing education opportunities offered to our Master Gardener volunteers. So you can report those for your continuing ed hours. This session will be recorded and the recording will be made available. And I posted the YouTube playlist in the chat in case you missed last week's and want to catch up, or for whatever reason, you can find all those recordings there. And for all of you joining us live, if you have questions, we do have the chat open today, so you can type your questions there, or we have the Q&A box at the bottom. It's a little question mark in it, and we welcome those questions from you. And today we're delighted to welcome Rachel Saylor and Sydney Trio, and they're each going to be speaking about how to lead a garden tour. And Rachel Saylor is a Fargo native and Cass County Master Gardener. She serves as Operation Manager at Baker Garden and Gift in Fargo and is chair of the Red River Valley Garden Tour Committee, which launched its annual tour in 2023. And this Master Gardener project has raised over $10,000 for local gardening organizations and welcomed more than 700 garden enthusiasts to tour local homeowner yards. Rachel's passionate about gardening, of course, and loves spending time outdoors with her husband, Ben, and their son, Silas. Rachel, hello, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And we also have Sydney Trio, and she is the education coordinator and SDSU Extension Horticulture Assistant based at McCrory Gardens in Brookings. Sydney spent most of the last 5 years at McCrory Gardens, working as an undergraduate and then becoming the education coordinator after graduation. Sydney's main role is to connect people of all ages and abilities to plants by planning and coordinating educational events, providing tours, answering questions on the garden hotline, which is open if anyone has any gardening questions, and helping plant and maintain the gardens. Welcome to both of you, and Sydney's going to get us started today.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. It's so nice to be here virtually with you all. My name is Sydney Trio. I'm the education coordinator at McCrory Gardens, and then the SDSU Extension Horticulture Assistant. And today I will be talking about how to lead a garden tour. Before I start on that, I was going to give a little background about McCrory Gardens, where I work. So it's about 70 acres of formal gardens in arboretum space. And we are part of SDSU, located in Brookings, South Dakota. Each year we plant around 40,000 plants from seed, and then we plant them on campus in the greenhouse, and then we bring them to the gardens and plant them throughout the formal gardens, usually mid to late May. We are open year round, so if you're ever around here about December into January, we have our garden glow. Here's a picture of Miss McCrory right there, where you can walk through thousands of lights. But also we have a bunch of educational events throughout the year that I get to help plan. One of my favorites is Insect Festival. Here's a little collage. So we have pollinator parade, monarch tagging, cockroach races, and edible insects. So we have different events throughout the year, and then a bunch of weddings and meetings are here too as well. A few of you North Dakota Master Gardeners might remember me from the retreat Esther and Shannon put together this last fall up in North Dakota. So if you liked that with all the presentations, we did volunteering at the International Peace Gardens, and then some yummy food. We are planning another one at McCrory, where I work. So save the date for more information coming soon. It will be June 26th through the 27th. So we're super excited about that. So when planning this, I kind of am going to go through the who, what, where, when, and why of planning the garden tour. So just kind of some things to keep in mind while planning as well. So your who, sometimes you'll be looking at the adults versus children. A lot of times when you have children, whether you're working at a garden, a nursery, whether you're volunteering and giving a tour, a lot of times children like scavenger hunts and sensory plants to kind of connect them with the plants more. And then I've found adults, a lot of times they'll be looking for ideas to plant in their own landscapes, as well as history of the plants you grow or the area as well. And then looking at where some of you might be showing off your own home garden, or maybe you're volunteering and giving a tour of a public garden. And then your why would you want to give or receive tours? Rachel will kind of go over the kind of more logistics of putting together like a committee and planning all of that, but mine is kind of some tips if you are giving a tour or if you're receiving a tour. So kind of some differential there. But no matter how big or small your garden is, it's always fun to share what you spend a lot of your time and passion on, and also share what you know, what you grow, what you know grows the best. Share your story as well, how you became a gardener, and all that, and even a master gardener. And then you can inspire others. Just some garden etiquette. We always have a bunch of kids, usually May, for field trips here. And a lot of times the tulips will be blooming just in time. And they always ask if they could take a flower. And I always say, if everyone picked a flower, no one would have pretty flowers to look at. Also, it is illegal to take from botanic gardens. So just don't pick or remove anything. But also, I always have to remind the children, sometimes even adults, as we go through the tour, just to stay on the paths and go as a group. Sometimes it might help to have a caboose at the end, kind of getting everyone going and make sure they stay as a group. Another thing to keep in mind, the photo policy, if you ever take any photos, just to make sure they all have that signed. For example, this picture, 2 of the kids didn't have the photo policy signed, so we put some little smiley faces over them, but just something to keep in mind. One of the biggest things to keep in mind is the time. Also, the time of the day, you'll want either the morning or late afternoons if it's the summer, because a lot of times the mid-afternoon can be really, really hot. Also, you want to look at the peak bloom. If your group is really interested in tulips or peonies, you might want to go in the spring, early summer. And then if you want to get a good variety of everything, you'll want to go midsummer. So just keep that in mind. And then also keeping in mind the weather, because sometimes it can rain. I know it's hard to plan way out in advance, and just having a rain backup plan is also a good idea, especially for lunch. If you're planning to have a picnic outside, make sure there's some shelter. On the size of group, when I give tours, I typically do a 25-to-1 ratio. Sometimes I can go a little bit more than that, but I've found that sometimes I have a quieter voice, so being able to reach everyone in the group so that they can hear me is important, so I don't have to yell as much. So keeping that in mind, as well. Another thing is if anyone in your group has any mobility limitations, sometimes you might have to walk on grass paths, and just making sure that they're able to get anywhere that they need and have some seating options available as well. Also, oftentimes we get people who ask if they can take pictures during tours, and I'm like, absolutely. We want you to get new ideas and share and take all the photos you want, take notes. Also, a lot of times I like when people ask questions on tours. It just shows that people are interested and engaged, and it makes the tour a lot more fun. So always ask questions. All right, so a lot of times when I'm giving tours, when we're walking in between different garden spaces, I like to throw a joke in there. So I added this one. If anyone has a guess, you can put it in the chat. What do you call a bee that can't make up its mind? Maybe. Some other things to keep in mind, always wear the proper footwear. A lot of times, like I said, you might be walking on grass, maybe the grass is wet. Always dress for the weather. Don't wear a sweater in the middle of the summer. And always remember your sunglasses, hats, or sunscreen, and water. Some other things, a lot of times with the kids, they like to see the unique plants. For example, I have 3 pictures here. The popcorn plant on the left, you will rub the leaves and then it will feel like it'll smell like buttery popcorn, but it is actually poisonous if you ingest it. So smelling that one. And then the middle one, we have strawberry spinach, those little berries you can eat on there. Then the last one is sensitive plant, where you can touch the plant and it will kind of close up, kind of like a Venus flytrap. It'll close the leaves. So just engaging with people of all ages with unique plants. Also, people like to look at new plants. So maybe you go to your local greenhouse and find some new plants that they just brought in, and you can try those in your yards as well. Also, people like to look at traditional plants. What I mean by this is if someone has a garden full of peonies and you have someone come over, they can look at all your peony collections. So there's kind of a niche for that too. Another option is pollinator plants. So looking at how are plants that attract pollinators, and then with that, the design you use for those pollinator plants and your use of space. Maybe you have some really unique containers and just show how you garden. And then a lot of times on the hotline, and I found while giving tours, a lot of people are interested in composting and how you compost. So if you compost and are giving a tour, that would be an awesome thing to highlight. So it's okay to be honest, but not too negative while giving tours. Have fun and a light sense of humor. And just remember that no garden is perfect. Even the best kept botanic gardens have weeds. Here's a picture of Machu Picchu. Although it's not technically a botanic garden, there are still flowers there. And if you look at the big picture, it looks like a beautiful and awesome place. But if you look really, really close and try, you'll find the weeds like I did here. I know a lot of times as gardeners, you can be kind of critical of your own garden, but just know that when you share your garden with other people, they don't see all the weeds like you do. So just keep that in mind. Those stories with history and relating it. For example, this is my favorite flower here, zinnia or treasure flower. Grew it at the gardens. And then we went to Peru with the master gardeners in 2023. And I saw the same one, and it just got me so excited when I saw it. And I was like, oh, this is my favorite flower. So just keeping in mind if someone goes to your garden and maybe they'll see how you grow something and relate it to their garden as well. So what works well and what does not. Maybe you grow a bunch of tomatoes and someone takes a tour on your garden and wants to try out tomatoes, and they see that you have the spoon variety of tomatoes, and you give them advice that maybe the spoon variety does not work the best. So just sharing what you know and what grows good and what hasn't worked also is important to share. And with that, there's a little quote, but if anyone has any questions, you can put them in the chat. Otherwise, here's my contact information.
Sydney, I did see one from Annie. She asked, is that a Canadian thistle growing in the cracks at Machu Picchu?
It is a type of thistle. I'm not sure if it's Canadian, but yes, they are literally everywhere.
And would you be willing to share your PowerPoint?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay. Can send that out. I'm sorry. Any other questions? I love the popcorn plant that so you have one at McCrory?
Yes, so it's an annual here. So we'll grow it each year, and we usually put it in our yellow garden because it has a little yellow flower. So yes.
And the strawberry spinach too. I think that's such an interesting plant.
Yes.
All right. And if you think of questions for Sydney as we go, you can still type those in that Q&A box or the chat. And yeah. Do you do most of your tours with kids or youth, or would you say it's pretty even split?
It's definitely an even split. In May, late April, May, we have most of the youth tours because the schools will come in. And then June through September, we have people of all ages typically. And yeah, we have college students who come in for classes, like the landscape architecture classes and horticulture classes. And so, yeah, we get a variety.
Mm-hmm. And is the gazania an annual?
It is, yep. In our area, it is a annual.
Ooh, what are the top 2 or 3 times during the summer to best see the blooms at McCrory?
Ooh, I always tell people it's always the best time to come and look because something is always blooming throughout the spring, throughout fall. But I would say probably mid-July and also the beginning of August. So July, August. So.
And you do a big tulip.
Yes, we have our Tulip Palooza.
Nicole asked, what types of tours do you do? Like, do you do autumn leaves or fall type tours, fall color tours?
Typically I have the tours the same each time. So I'll walk through the gardens, kind of giving a history of each of the different areas. But I do a lot of tours in the fall, so they could see the leaves then as well.
Okay. And from Jody, she said, one of the things I like to incorporate into tours is to add info on how a plant may have been used by natives and pioneers, especially things that may not be native, to explain how they got here, like mullein or plantain.
Yes, that is a good idea. We also have a prairie medicinal garden here. So there's signs that people can read about that as well. So some passive education, but active is good too.
Mm-hmm. And Esther asked, Do you require the teachers to accompany the students in case there are discipline issues?
Yes, so with the students, there is a policy, a youth policy that has to be a 10-to-1 ratio. So the students always come along, or the teachers always come along with the students. And typically they have some some of the parents go along on the tours as well. So there's more adults there.
Mm-hmm. I like your caboose idea too. So do you give that job to someone? You're the
Yes. Yep. Typically we have someone kind of trailing, so we keep going.
mm-hmm. Does McCrory sell seeds and bulbs?
So we do have a little selection of some seeds that we sell. And then for bulbs, so each year we plant our tulip bulbs, and then we have our tulip palooza. And then once the bulbs kind of die and fade over, we'll dig them up and then cut off the plant material part and then keep the bulbs. And then usually in the fall, we'll have like bags of bulbs in the green or in the gift shop. So yes, we do sell a few bulbs.
And Jody said that she's done a garden bingo game.
Oh yeah.
Maybe sort of like a scavenger hunt.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Sure. Yeah, sounds fun. Oh, and I see one. What does the strawberry spinach taste like?
So some people think that it tastes like nothing, kind of like some other spinach, but it has like a very hint of kind of strawberry. But it's not super tasteful, but it's definitely unique to try. And really easy to grow as well.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's all the questions I see. So if Rachel, if you want to get yours pulled up and ready.
Yep.
Thanks,
That look
Sydney.
good?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Sydney. Sounds like I need to plan a trip down to Brookings to check out the gardens. Awesome. Yeah, like was said, I am Rachel Saylor. I'm a Cass County Master Gardener. I'm part of the committee for the Red River Valley Garden Tour, which had their first tour in 2023 and our second last year in 2024, and we're deep into planning 2025. I'm here today to share with you some of the things that I've learned along the way for forming a committee to plan such garden tour. So yeah, I'll just get right into it. The first thing you're going to need is some help. So you will need to plan or form a committee. I've kind of broken out here in this table what the committee responsibilities are. The scale of your committee is going to depend on your goals and how large you want your tour to be. Over the years, our committee has varied from 6 to we currently have 9 on our committee. So we've got a good group, so we can divide and conquer. Many hands make light work. So that's our goal for this year. So forming the committee, you're going to need somebody or a couple folks that are interested in marketing. So social media, preparing printed materials, email communication if you choose to go that route, and then exploring different ticketing platforms. Sponsorships. So this is something kind of new that we're doing formally this year, but creating attractive sponsorships to connect with local businesses or individuals to seek out sponsorships to help with some of those startup funds that you need to get going. Of course, you're going to need some hosts. So you need a team to help with that host recruitment. Somebody that can be really passionate about this is huge, because often we find that is one of the more challenging parts of getting the garden tour going is finding the homeowner yards to be on it. Our garden tour requires volunteers at each house for day of, so we need somebody in charge of coordinating all of those volunteers, so helping with the recruiting of volunteers, training and communicating leading up to and on day of tour. And then, of course, somebody to help keep track of the finances, so tracking our spending and budgeting expenses. Something that we did early on, back when Don Kinsler and I were emailing about the possibility of starting a garden tour, was ask what's our why? Why do we want to do this? And ultimately, we decided that this was something that our community needed, and we decided to write somewhat of a mission statement that our team can kind of rally behind to help determine our why. So I'll read you ours as just kind of an example. So the Red River Valley Garden Tour supports the Fargo-Moorhead gardening community by providing access to educational experiences and showcasing local gardens. All proceeds benefit nonprofit organizations that promote gardening in the area. So this, like I said, will just give your committee a vision to rally behind and help communicate your value of your tour to the public. It's important, I think, to set goals. So set some measurable goals, especially for your first year. Number of gardens that you would like on the tour. For us, our first tour, we had 6 homeowner yards and then 1 public. And then our last year we had 5, and then in addition to one public to that. A goal for number of attendees. Our goal for 2023 was 300. We felt like that was plenty, and we were happy to achieve that early on, and that kind of just solidified our thought that this was something that our community needed. But just to get our feet wet, we felt like managing 300 attendees was well enough for our first year. Last year we sold about 450 tickets, so we'll see what we can do in 2025. And then from there, what you want your total proceeds to be, and if you are donating them, of course, deciding on who that beneficiary will be, or maybe you're in a local gardening group and this is a fundraiser for you. So what is your financial goal? Your committee is going to need to communicate and meet, so set some sort of a meeting schedule and determine how you will communicate, have a way to share your files and your notes. We use Google Drive. There's other sources out there, so you Dropbox or OneDrive. We embrace kind of the electronic aspect of it. It just keeps everything central and easy to access for everyone. And then encourage your teams to collaborate between meetings, so that we're always working towards our goals. Our committee meets about once every month, sometimes less, just in the off seasons or around the holidays, that kind of thing. But always thinking about the garden tour. So it's a year-round project for us. Then you'll obviously need to determine the details, kind of like Sydney mentioned, the time of season. How can you reach the most people? What's in bloom? Are you going for spring or summer? Ours is in the middle of July. Other things to consider. Are there other garden tours in the area? Are there other events in the area to consider? Ours has historically fallen around the time of the Fargo Street Fair, which I actually think is beneficial to us, as another thing that, kind of coincides with that. Maybe same kind of demographics that want to attend a garden tour and a street fair. Added fun factors, draw from other inspiration from garden tours around the area. I know the Grand Forks Horticultural Society garden tour, I think they've been around for 40 years. So definitely a garden tour that we look up to. Theirs has kind of turned into an all-day event on that Saturday with a big party, and I think like craft fair and all of these fun things. Tingletown Garden and Art Tour in Minneapolis. They've been doing theirs for 15-ish years, I think. And they have artists come to each home and set up a booth and sell their art, which I think is cool. And then you'll need to set your ticket price, decide if you'll be offering child tickets, if that's a different price. That was a common question that we got that we maybe weren't anticipating. So just something that we've got now, but yeah, we definitely want children to be involved in the tour as well. Recruiting hosts, like I said, this can be the hardest part. So start early. Our ultimate goal would be to have our hosts penciled in for the following year, you know, like a year in advance. We're not quite there yet, but I think eventually we can be as we grow. Have somebody on your committee who's passionate about making these connections with other gardeners, getting involved in the gardening clubs, keeping good records of who you've talked to, and some of the common responses that we get from homeowners who we know that they have an awesome garden is that, oh, my garden's not done, or it's not good enough, or it's not perfect. And no garden is ever going to be perfect, like Sydney mentioned, and no garden is ever complete either. I think we're always, as gardeners, looking to change things up, or so, you know, reassuring them that is okay. And so just instilling that confidence that your garden is tour worthy. And we're not always looking for, you know, the biggest, best garden either. I think all sizes and types are welcome. So making sure to look for that the different diversity in sizes and styles and themes. Some unique, you know, having some unique features as well. Debbie here sitting in front of her little koi pond. That was fun last year to see. So yeah, she has the koi pond, and then she actually had a turtle. So that was cool to have on the tour. And then the location, if you can be so lucky to be able to have enough yards to choose from that you're able to segregate them into different areas of town just to make the route easier for folks. Definitely do that if you can. And then kind of like Sydney mentioned as well, get the backstory of either the plants or the garden or the home. Again, Debbie, as she said, she actually grew up in this home. It's our childhood home and has been working on this garden for many years. So it's just kind of fun to get to hear those extra little tidbits. Marketing and promotion. So figuring out how you're going to market this and sell tickets. Determine if you're going to sell tickets online and or in person. First year, the logistics of selling in person tickets in advance just kind of seemed a little complicated. So we decided to only have online. And then last year we did do in-person tickets just day of because we had the public location of the botanical garden where people could go to purchase. We held the homeowner addresses private until the week of, and then that's how we shared them through email with the ticket holders. So just to kind of protect the privacy of the homeowners, that's the main reason why we chose to not sell advance tickets in person for the communication aspect, I guess. There's lots of different online platforms out there. Of course, they all come with their pros and cons and different fee structures. So exploring them and figuring out which one is going to work best for you. So there's, yeah, Eventbrite, Event Create, Ticket Spice, and you could even do it on Shopify, which is kind of a basic website builder. And then just some of the different promotional strategies that we used. Social media is huge. Might not be so surprising, but last year we used Eventbrite, and some of the statistics on there was that 95% of the clicks to our ticket site was directly from Facebook. So definitely having a good social media strategy, posting at least 1 to 3 times per week, especially when leading up to the tour, is definitely a good idea. Posting to local community boards and tourism pages. The North Dakota tourism page was another good one for us. And then making sure that your information gets to local gardening clubs. So even in the smaller towns surrounding you, there are, we had a bus come in from Carrington, I think, and that was so fun to see or hear about. Bus from Carrington is here, and so yeah, having 20 some people show up at once is pretty cool. And then have somebody write and send a press release. So you can maybe get on local news or radio to share the tour with the community. Our ticket holder communication is very important, especially when you're managing a large volume of attendees. So we have yard signs that we put in the front of the home in the yard. We kind of debated early on if we wanted directional signs, you know, a block or two out telling people where to make the turns. But because we weren't selling day of tickets, we decided that we didn't want to kind of attract folks from that were maybe just driving around. So in front of the yard they went. And then you also need to provide a tour map. So like I mentioned earlier, the yard addresses went out in an email to the ticket holders the week of. And in that email was an image of the map. And then we also had hyperlinks to Google directions. So if the attendee was using their phone, they could just click on that in the email and it would pull up Google Maps and give them directions right to the home. So making it as easy as possible for the attendees is the goal. And then we would have physical maps printed available for anybody who wanted them at the check-in table. So you'll see the image there of our brochures. So that has inside would have bios on each of the gardens and then information about our sponsors and save the dates for the next tour. So always a goal to have the save the date for the next tour on the brochure there. One other thing with maps, making sure that you're looking for any construction or detours and knowing about those ahead of time so you can communicate that. And then some frequently asked questions that we try and just answer up front. Our tour is rain or shine. If we had an emergency weather event, we would decide as a committee and communicate that. What is your policy on refund for tickets? And then your policy on pets. For us, no pets allowed on the tour. As I mentioned earlier, we use volunteers to check in. We're so lucky to be part of the Cass County Master Gardeners that we can access our network of local Master Gardeners to help us with the tour. It's about 48 volunteers that it takes to run our tour between the 2 days and the number of houses. So their responsibilities are doing any day of tickets, if that's something that you're doing, as well as checking in ticket holders, so verifying their ticket, introducing the yard. We don't expect that our Master Gardener volunteers know everything about the yard or take folks through the yard, but at least know some of the high features to point out. And maybe, you know, if there's something hidden in the back, make sure to check that out, or maybe just share their favorite thing. And then of course, handing out any pamphlets that we have. Ensure that your volunteers have a main point of contact for the day. We have a volunteer information sheet that has all of the information that they need to know, training and materials and all of that good stuff. And then at the bottom, making sure that they know who they can contact with any questions throughout the day. So finally, the day of the tour has come. You're going to have somebody in charge of dropping off any supplies. For our tour, we do provide the tables and chairs for check-ins, and then we have a tote that has all of the check-in materials, so buttons for the homeowner and for the volunteers, all the brochures and other handouts. We have a little first aid kit in our tote as well. I don't think we've had to use it, but it just seemed like a wise choice just in case. If the weather was quite warm, we talked about having cases of water. Last year was pretty mild, so we didn't end up doing that, but something to consider as well if you'll be offering water. And then make sure to enjoy the day yourself. View the tour as an attendee. Notice what made it a good experience and where there could be some opportunities to improve for future tours. Take lots of photos of people enjoying the tour. If you have somebody on the committee that has a nice camera or loves to do that, that's even better. And just enjoy the day. You've put in a lot of work to get this far, so hopefully we've done all the hard work and now you can kick back and relax and enjoy the tour. So after the tour, We always have a post-tour kind of recap meeting. These meetings are really fun because we're all very excited. We just, had our awesome tour and we have all these ideas and we've made all these new connections. So making sure to get those notes down while everything is fresh and start planning for next year. At these meetings, we will have sent our surveys to the attendees, hosts and volunteers. So we've got some good feedback to review. Always looking for the feedback, and then making sure to send your thank yous as well to your hosts and sponsors and volunteers. And then, of course, like I said, celebrate and start planning for next year. That's what I had for you. If there was any questions.
Thanks, Rachel. We had a question about the date, and I found a date, but I wanted to make sure it's correct. Are you planning July 16th and 17th for this year?
Yeah. Yes, 16th and 17th this year.
And it looks like you're recruiting gardens right now. Is that right?
Yep.
I like
we have a number
together
secured for 2025, but always, and I think we would still add a couple if they came through. But yeah, for sure, for future years or this year, we'll take them all. So yeah, thanks for dropping that link to the interest form there.
Yeah. And then we had a question about how do you set your ticket prices?
Yeah, so the first year our ticket price was $10. Last year we went up to 15. And what determined that was the demand that we saw. And then we felt that you were getting a good value for $15. And then kind of backwards calculated from our financial goal and how many participants we thought we could serve and what impact that would make for our donation. So yeah, I feel like for $10 to $15 feels like a fair price.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What are your best methods for locating gardens for tour?
Sandra Vegan. Our recruiter. Local garden clubs.
Okay.
We have a committee member on our committee who's very connected in the garden tour, and she's very outgoing and loves connecting with people. So she's been very helpful in that. So, and then where I work at a garden center too, so I see the regulars in here and I know that they've got some gardens, so making those connections as well. Yeah.
How many gardens did you have on your tour last summer?
Last summer we had 5 homeowner gardens, and then we donated our proceeds to the Northern Plains Botanical Garden, so they were the 6th stop.
Okay. And I think someone asked, what are your cost items?
Yeah, so the printed materials, so yard signs, and we got those in a way that we'll be able to use hopefully for many years. Brochures. Last year we did punch cards, kind of an incentive to try and get everybody to hit all of the stops, so that we just printed on business cards is what it ended up being. Of course, the startup costs of like the supply kit with the first aid kit and the totes and just that kind of stuff. And then the other big one would be a website, which we're hoping to launch this year. But previously we're just using Eventbrite, but it's kind of a mouthful to try an event. We'll go to our Facebook and then click on the event and then go to Eventbrite. So we're trying to have our own website. So that'll be the biggest new expense this year.
Okay. Do you have a separate price for children on the tour?
So we ended up doing last year, we did 12 and under were free with an adult. So I think anything we can encourage kids to get involved, I think it's just fine. Yeah.
And then they don't have to find childcare or something like that.
And it encourages the parents. Yeah, for sure.
What venue did you say? Eventbrite? You're going to sell tickets on Eventbrite? Is that or
the last 2 years we used Eventbrite, and then this year I'm still exploring options. I think I have a favorite, but I haven't quite decided yet on that. So Eventbrite is good. It's user friendly, but the fees to the ticket buyer to the attendee are high. So I think it made our $15 ticket more like $17.70 or something like that. So I mean, times 450, that's a lot. That doesn't get to go to our community. So fees is a big thing, and then being able to have our own website is what is our ultimate goal. So we can, yeah, have that up year round.
Yeah. What's the timing of your tour?
Our tour it historically has been Wednesday and Thursday. The first 2 years we did 1 to 7 p.m. And then, but this year I think we're going to split it and have one day be a morning and the another day be the evening, or like the 1 to 7 time frame, to allow for different schedules and avoid the heat of the day. Yeah.
Okay. Roger asked, is liability insurance something a tour group should consider?
Yeah, this was a topic of discussion, or we talked about having waivers for the homeowners, but I think ultimately we got some advice, and it didn't seem like something that we needed to do. But if anyone knows anything different, I would love to learn more. Yeah.
That question has kind of come up for some of our groups as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the advice that we got, even a waiver wouldn't really hold anything for the homeowner. So, but I mean, like I said, if anybody has more information, I would take the advice. So yeah.
How much did your group raise for a charity last year?
Just under 7,000, I think. About 60, yeah, 67.
So were your homeowners home during the tours?
Yep.
And like
Yep.
Interacting with people?
Yeah, we do kind of ask them of that. It's not required that they're there every minute, but it is nice to just have a face to the home. And so yeah, it's a big ask of the homeowners to, they're going to put in all the work leading up to and then commit to the 2 days. So yeah, we definitely appreciate our hosts.
Yeah. Oh, I think there's a few more in the Q&A here. But our garden club asked the guides to wear matching bright red t-shirts with garden club logo and their name tags, so it's easy to see who the guides are.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
Do anything like that?
We do buttons, definitely not as flashy as a bright red t-shirt. But yeah, that does sound like a good idea. We want to have some merch this year to sell, like have a branded t-shirt or something. So that could be part of it.
Yeah. And then do you offer an honorarium to the garden hosts?
Like a gift. Yeah, we have so a sponsor, is that what you mean? Yeah, our sponsors provide a gift to them. Yeah.
Okay. And another tip here, in past years, our garden club also set up a pre-tour for the guides on the afternoon before the official tour, kind of a dress rehearsal, which allows the guides to see all the gardens and maybe be familiar with them, be kind of prepared for some of the questions they might get. And they can also answer questions about the other gardens as well.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. We've done that with we've done pre-tours with the hosts. So the committee and the hosts can go and see all the gardens together. But yeah, we haven't incorporated volunteers into that. So yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, did I miss any questions? Sarah, did I miss any? I think. Oh, you can borrow Master Gardener aprons for the tour.
Oh, heck yeah. Okay.
A couple of our groups have bright yellow or bright orange aprons, so that's they're very easy to spot.
Yep, that's the goal, right?
Yep. And I like that these presentations complemented each other, but they were both different. It's different what, how Sydney is leading tours at a botanical garden and you're leading tours at homeowners and community gardens and things like that. So thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see. Yeah. Any other questions? Or I was going to tell everyone that next week we have Stephen Robertson is going to be presenting on pesticide safety for master gardeners. And I told the South Dakota Master Gardeners this. I don't think I told the North Dakota one, so I'm going to tell you now that if you have any pesticide questions, you can send those in advance, and then he can address some of those in his presentation. And I'm going to put in my email in the chat if you have any of those, any pesticide questions that you'd like to have answered next week. And that will be Wednesday again, the 29th at 11:30 Mountain Time, 12:30 Central. Same place, same time. Yeah. And let's see, did I miss one? Oh, I think we got them. Yeah. I was going to add that I said I liked the popcorn plant, but I didn't say any like why or anything else about it. But the Pennington County Master Gardeners have one at Storybook Island. I hope they dug it up and saved it for next year and or they'll plant it again maybe. But if you're ever in Rapid City, you should come and see it. And I had my kids with me, and it's the smell. It smells, you just brush it against it a little bit and it smells a lot like popcorn. And some people think it smells like peanut butter, but I didn't get that. But maybe I just had popcorn in my head. But it's and it's a very a cool looking plant too, tropical kind of a yellow, like Sydney said. So, and yeah, do some of your homeowners have some really unique plants that you're showcasing, Rachel?
Yeah, last year, one of the yards in North Fargo, he had some interesting fruit, and he had a pretty decent sized ginkgo tree in his front yard. So that one, he's definitely a collector of unique varieties. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, you're getting lots of thank yous in the chat, and yeah, I think yes. I think we'll just end a little bit early today. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next
Thank
week.
you.